You are listening to the Smuggler's Galaxy podcast, my favorite podcast to listen to on long flights across the galaxy.
This is the way.
We're wanted men.
Spoken.
We're driving. Well, actually, we're just Jordan. Our buddy Jordan just created some content, so we're gonna create content. We're 2 hours into a 2.5 hour trip to
really just started
Joefest.
this off with our buddy Jordan created some content. He just created some content.
So it's our turn to create content.
We're not going to be shown up. We're going to make better content.
We've been on a 2.5 hour road trip with a bunch of video content creators, and we haven't created any content yet. We had some really awesome conversations, but we're on our way to Joefest in Agusta. Saturday morning. It's 9:30. We've been on the road since just before 7. We got Jason some Starbucks, so he's been driving like a madman. And we're on our way. Joefest 2022. Jason, you got anything to say?
You put me on the spot like that. No, I don't.
You knew I was creating content, Jason.
You were creating content. I'm not. I'm driving.
Jason's driving, so he doesn't have anything to say.
Slow week. Tons to talk about Obi-Wan.
Yeah, we'll talk about Obi-Wan on the road way back.
Oh, fine.
Or we can talk about it now.
I don't want to talk about it now.
All right, fine. We'll talk about it on our way back. And we'll talk about our Joefest. Jason's looking for micro machines and collecting memories with friends. I'm looking for, of course, Bill and Ted. And
I've started 3D printing a cantina, so I'm looking for... It's very limited with what I can get in Black Series scale. But I need 2 stormtroopers, 1 sand trooper, 1 stormtrooper. So if I can find that, I'm a happy man.
Yeah, I'm looking for pre-production crap, but
you're not going to find that here.
I might, and the toy department's there, but I don't mean they may not have it. I'm excited because last year we were here. It was a good, big, quality show, so pretty good. Jason, you get anything this week?
Did I get anything this week? I don't think so.
I haven't gotten anything either.
I got another vintage collection clone. That was about it.
Yeah. I ordered those retro figures off Amazon, so we'll see what happens.
I was out in Mississippi, and we stopped at IHOP for breakfast, and there was a Walmart across the way, so we went in there, and they had a bunch of the Black Series stuff. The Client, Omega, and Ahsoka, but I didn't buy those.
Hey, Jordan, you get anything this week?
Star Wars wise, I have not, but I did pick up a few things over the last couple weeks. I was able to find a Black Series Camino Trooper, a Black Series Wampa. I picked up a Black Series Archive Yoda, and I picked up a Black Series Archive Emperor. And I know I'm forgetting something. Oh, I picked up another Ahsoka Trooper, because Jason, when we went to that Gwinnett show a few weeks ago, Jason pointed out an Ahsoka Trooper, and I got a good deal on another Black Series. You did. I appreciate that.
Make sure no one else saw it.
Yeah, and then since then I got another Ahsoka Trooper, so I'm up to 6, and I'm pretty excited about that because it's my favorite clone trooper. So, but that's Star Wars wise. That's what I've gotten recently.
Are you looking for anything Star Wars wise?
For this show, for Joefest?
Yes.
I don't know. I'm kind of hoping to go into the show with a blank slate because I feel like if I go to a show with a list of stuff, I have that tunnel vision of only going in for the list. So I kind of want to not have. I want to explore the room, right? I want to take it all in.
That's what she said.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Richard, are you looking for anything?
Mandy in the back.
really just looking to kind of fill some pegs in my collection.
Watch what you say, because he's ready to say that's what she said.
I'm really into Spawn, so I've got a lot of the early couple of waves and some of the vehicles. I'm just really missing the Spawn Alley playset, which is something I just really want to find in person. So I've been looking for it for a couple of years. some skeleton warrior vehicles, and just kind of interested to see the variety of what they have.
So that spawn playset, is it tough to find? Is that what you've been looking for a couple of years?
See, the interesting thing is, like, I've gone to a lot of different states and looked at a lot of different toy stores, but that is something that they never have. They always have the figures, and sometimes you might find a vehicle or two, but that play set is never really there. And the only place I've been, like, truly able to, like, look it up is, of course, eBay.
Yeah.
But as far as, like, in-person purchases, I have never seen it.
Freaking eBay.
That's what she said.
All right, so we'll check in with you guys on the way home. We may check in at the show, but if you guys are ever close to Joefest, it's worth the drive. It's a little bit bigger than Toylanta. Quality, I mean, it's mostly Joe's, but the stuff from last year, at least what I remember seeing, it was all quality stuff, as far as Star Wars goes. So, and it's a good way to kill a day. Augusta's a cool town. So, we'll check in later. This is lunch. We're hanging out with our buddy Jesse. It's kind of loud in there, but hopefully it's not too bad.
So did you guys buy anything?
I haven't bought anything yet.
Not yet.
Are you guys going back in?
Yeah, we'll make a couple more. We'll probably be here till 3. Well, it's 1 o'clock now.
I did get you a Wampa.
You did for $10.
What time does it
nice.
close?
I don't know, 4 or 5? Probably 5 or 6.
No, it's open to like 6 or 7.
Okay.
Because at 8 o'clock they have the room sales. If I remember from like last night, it just goes almost like straight in.
That's awesome.
I was told room sales was like a bustle last night.
For what you guys are looking for, absolutely. And they're like some people that, I don't know. There wasn't a lot that I was looking for, but like there's stuff that, I mean, there's good stuff. But then again, if you're here, like, I like collecting Star Wars.
Yeah.
Probably like finding the exact gun to a Night Raven is not really what you're gonna be like, oh shit, finally the left tail gun.
Yeah.
You're not being like, oh, well, this is the Dragonfly machine gun that goes up and down. This is the one that's like locked in position. It's just, oh, this completes my 83 one. This is my 84. Like, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But there was some good stuff. I mean, it's like most room sales where you have like a lot of people, but there's only like 5 booths that are worth anything. But there are some good ones. Like there was a guy who had a bunch of like, it's not my thing, but like hardback for the G.I. Joe, like the full backs and all that. And so like he had a good selection and wasn't asking that much for him. Like decently quite looking for. So.
Saturday's 5 o'clock.
And that was room sales last night?
What's that?
Room sales last night that was all there?
Yeah.
There's booths at room sales?
Friday was 6
So like when you go in,
Saturday, 5 p.m.
like if you're going down, where they have like the, it's right before, so on the right they have like they're having all the panels. It's like 1 or 2 rooms before on your left. Okay. They have a room that like they put it all in, and then it goes outside to the like the patio they have.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people there.
Okay.
Like I didn't look for that much stuff, but 2 guys I was talking to this morning, my buddy Paul and some dude I just randomly met, said they like made killer stuff for that.
So they sold a lot of stuff, or they found a lot of stuff?
They found a lot of stuff because Paul works for the Marauder guys.
Okay.
I think the other guy was talking about he sold and basically did what I do. Like, so I went up to Infinite Realities yesterday, sold like half my comic collection that I still have here in Georgia, and that got me some QC shot tests of 3 Eco Warriors today, or yesterday. So.
Is that Joe?
What's that?
Eco Warriors or Joe?
Yeah. So like in '90 they had a subline that was, because that was when like Captain Planet and all was coming on.
Uh-huh.
So they had a subline called Eco Warriors, which were designed to fight for the environment and fight Cobra, who was like poisoning everything. And so toy department, they still have a bunch of them, but they have quality control figures that were sent to.
You know all about that.
Oh yeah. Freaking
Bill and
prototypes.
Bill and Ted.
Yep. I
Yeah.
got a bunch of Bill and Ted.
So like,
Colorado.
some of them are like $800 because like different size helmets they were testing out which color to be. But like, they just had Toxo Viper, Ozone, and so I was like, I'll grab that. And that was, I was born in '83, so I mean, like, I was 10 years old when all the neon stuff came out, so I love that.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
That liquor was very heavy.
We're third. That's not on there. That's not done.
I'm curious to see like if this is going to be a collector crowd or a pride crowd at the restaurants around here.
Oh yeah, it's. I think it's been more of a mix of pride. I don't think the guys are leaving the restaurant that much and leaving the club.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have that little concession stand.
Yeah, there's a concession stand in there, so I think people are
There's
eating there.
a restaurant down at the like when you go in the hotel. Like that was the one. Like I've spent most of my time at Joefest before at that one, so like it's hotel food.
Right.
But it's good to just like sit and, since that's where a lot of guys go after everything closes, it's good to just talk shop with some of those guys and all that. Like I got a figure that I'm been looking for like 2 years, and I'll probably end up buying once Tracy gets back to his shop in South Carolina.
So the show seems slower this year than last year.
It's not as many people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is? Is it because we're post-pandemic? People have moved on from collecting? Or is it because the economy? Like, I don't want to get political.
Right.
We're going to avoid all that. But I'm just asking theories as to why this show is kind of slow.
I thought it was busy.
To get here because of gas.
Gas.
Yeah.
I think it may be gas. It may be. I thought there was a good amount of people there. I mean, I'll know when we go back.
I think so, there was. Yes, I agree with you. But it wasn't like last year where it was packed.
Yeah.
Really. There was several times when I walked around, it was so busy, I was like, I'll just go to that booth a little bit later because I don't like standing.
Well, I think you have two things with this. So you have a core of G.I. Joe guys.
Yeah.
Like, we don't have anywhere to go since Joe Con no longer exists. So you have those guys who will show up to this every year. Obviously myself. But like a bunch of guys I was talking about. And then you also have, I think, a lot of regional people for the actual comic side of it. And the regional folks probably aren't going to come because gas, kind of worry about where the economy's at and all that.
Yeah.
You know, it now costs, what, X amount of dollars to fill up. So like before, if you were in Atlanta or you were in Savannah or you were up, I don't know, South Carolina that well, but like somewhere around there, you know, is it worth it to spend $80 just to get here, let alone to stay in a hotel and all that? So.
What was JoeCon?
JoeCon was a show that ran for about 20-something years, 25 years maybe. The last one was in 2018. It was actually sponsored by Hasbro. It was run through a different company called Fun Publications, but the show itself was affiliated with Hasbro. The same people who used to do the old BotCons, if you like Transformers. But so they did the same thing, and that they ended G.I. Joe in 2018 and ended the BotCons, I think, 2016. Just the licenses ran out. Hasbro decided they wanted to do something else. And you can make the argument that the folks at Fun Publications were kind of just tired of doing them anyway. But because that happened, there hasn't been like a national G.I. Joe show, because there used to be that every year. It was like a much smaller version of Celebration.
Yeah.
But like it would go around the U.S. and all.
Traveling convention.
Yeah. I mean, so like the last one I think was in Chattanooga. The one before that was in Orlando.
Yeah.
You know, they did one in Rhode Island when they were launching the movie G.I. Joe Rise of Cobra in 2009. Hasbro was really big of that. And so they had it in Rhode Island. We got to get a tour of the Hasbro facilities.
So you went?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Oh, it was awesome. I mean, it was one of the best ones I ever did. Like, so like all those halls that they show you in like the Instagram and videos and all that.
Yeah.
We got to go in. We got to see where like the sculptors are. We got to go see some of the design team stuff.
Wow.
And then they ended it where you went and they had like their main conference room, and it was nothing but like the G.I. Joe box art, like the original prints that they had done.
Yeah.
For like the whole A-Raw era. So that was really cool to go and see.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, I heard, because I got a buddy that's into Transformers, I think the thing that ended BotCon was Hasbro didn't want any third party. For people selling third party products. Is it Joe's the same way as like Transformers and stuff?
Not really. The biggest thing you have with G.I. Joe is because they're, in a lot of ways, different generations of Joe.
Right.
So if you look at what our parents had, which is what JoeCon initially was, it was the 12-inch ones. Then you have people my age, or their mid-30s to mid-50s, who grew up on the 80s line, A-Raw and all that. And then you have newer kids coming in as well, or sometimes coming in. But truthfully, both basically ended because Hasbro was trying to take more control over it. Like if you remember, that was a time that Hasbro was trying to launch their join verse, where it was like Mask, Visionaries, G.I. Joe, Transformers, all in that. And Hasbro at the time decided they wanted to have a larger footprint, and they basically wanted to control everything. Because that's when do you remember HasCon?
Yeah.
Yeah, those ended because they were doing HasCon. So they basically let those contracts expire because G.I. Joe is a smaller line than obviously Transformers is. Yep. And allegedly worked by Daryl DePriest and some of his friends, they were able to extend the G.I. Joe one for 2 extra years. So that's why they were able to do that. But both BotCon and JoeCon were supposed to end in 2016. And then they just, like I said, extended the Joe one, let BotCon kind of rest for a second, and then they went straight into HasCon.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that's kind of a bust for them.
Yeah, but it's like any company though. You're going to try something until it, falls through and all that. I also think some of the HasCon stuff, and I don't know, this is sheer speculation, but I think they projected a little too high for what it was going to be.
Yeah.
Like I think in Hasbro's eyes, they viewed it as being D23, or just a step below maybe D23, because they were going to combine, like it was everything: Transformers, My Little Pony, G.I. Joe, some of the Mattel lines that they had and wanted to bring back, and outside of Transformers and G.I. Joe, and G.I. Joe's, I'll be the first to admit, kind of a limited one. You don't have that many folks coming. And then the other lines that they have, well, there's Marvel stuff at SDCC, and then there's Star Wars stuff at Celebration. So basically, from my observation, it became more of the only thing they really had there was Transformers.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, G.I. Joe's a little more niche. All the other stuff, way more niche. Like, how many people are like, oh, I really can't wait for a new Mask movie to come out. But, the other stuff that Hasbro really makes their money on are already licensed and have their own,
convention
stores.
outlet.
Yeah, exactly.
I get that.
So.
Yeah, and I'm not sure the Hasbro brand itself is stronger than G.I. Joe alone, or Transformers alone, or Star Wars alone. Like, if there was a Transformer convention, I can see that being more successful than, or what do you call it, BotCon? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
That more successful than HasCon.
Yeah. And they might go back to it, I don't know. There's a lot of, the thing is right now there's a lot of unofficial conventions for all of them. Or at least G.I. Joe and Transformers. I don't know about some of the other ones.
Joefest.
Yeah. CoilCon in Ohio, stuff like that. But, there's not an official one with it. And Transformers, I believe, is their most successful brand. So that's always going to be kind of number one because they own everything. Well, jointly own it with Takara Tomy.
The most successful brand that they own?
Revenue stream wise, most successful period. Because they don't have, excluding some of the Bayverse figures they make, there's nothing they have to pay out to.
Right.
And also with it, half the production cost of everything now is split between them and Takara Tomy in Japan. Because those two, so they get all like European and US license from it, and then half the production cost is already with Takara Tomy because they get the Asian releases and all that. So you have that, and then I think Jordan could probably answer better than I could, but there's some going on with Marvel Legends where they're not generating a lot of money because there's a rumor that Target is stopped. The rumor I heard from a couple people is that Target's no longer buying Marvel Legends. We're going to put those up.
Because of Eternals? Because Eternals sat for a long time.
I think a couple lines, but the biggest thing that I heard with it was that Marvel Legends is too geared towards us, like adult collectors.
Yeah.
Whereas the other Marvel lines are geared towards kids. And so Target is no longer buying the Marvel Legends stuff because there's not enough sales because, you know, you look at what we buy, how much of what we get is going to Big Bad Toy Store or going to Hasbro Pulse or going to Dorkside or something like that.
Yeah.
So you have that that's already cutting into a smaller market that these only appeal to. But yeah, a couple of the waves have failed, like the X-Men Age of Apocalypse wave, which I love, but then again you have a comic series that came out in 1994. So how many people outside of, late 30, early 40-year-olds are going to be like, oh man, I love this version of Iceman that they're releasing.
X-Men was a weird one because they put that one on ice because all the profits, I know, they were trying to get back all the rights from Fox.
Yeah.
So they put any profits for action figures, like they just said no more action figures for X-Men.
Yeah. Well,
they wanted to cool the brand and get the license back.
Yeah. So the weird thing with X-Men, and I have a friend who worked for Disney, but Fantastic Four and X-Men, Disney actually did put out stuff. We're not releasing anything with these characters until we get the license back. So there were like actual emails from it, and that went out to everyone.
Yeah.
So that went out to publishing, that went out to figures, our toys, that went out to the rest of licensing and all that. The only one they backed away from was Deadpool, because they basically figured there's too much money in Deadpool right now. Yeah. So we're not, even though we don't have the rights, we're not going to leave that much money on the table.
Right.
But like regular X-Men, Fantastic Four, and Spider-Man for a little bit till they turned that around. I remember with those two, there was a specific thing with it, but they've had the license back for 2 years now, something like that. And just the collector market is not generating enough for them for Target, going back to Target, it's not generating enough for Target to carry that.
So what are the rumors? Is Marvel Legends gonna like expire from Target in the next couple of years, or?
Like I said, the only thing I heard was just that initial thing, and that could be total speculation.
It could be just a rumor. Yeah.
It's from guys I know who are relatively reliable,
connected.
Not just I saw it on We Got This Covered, and
figured to get news.
Yeah, best news source out there.
Yeah, exactly. I get all my news from We Got This Covered.
Exactly. It's my favorite place.
That's interesting. Yeah, because it's like Disney said, okay, you can make the X-Men stuff. I didn't realize it didn't sell all that well, but it makes sense if the built-in audience is older generation.
But also too, like you brought the externals. If you look at that line, that was a brand new line for a movie that just came out that not a lot of people knew about. So that truthfully probably should have been marketed more towards kids.
Well, plus that movie was like a year late, right?
I have no idea.
I don't think it was late. I think it was just slow.
Okay.
I mean, it's tough post-Avengers to come out with something that will grab attention. So they were like, let's take a hard left. And people were like, that's not the Avengers.
Right.
Particularly with what my understanding of the MCU is now about trying to launch other characters that aren't, your traditional Avengers.
Yeah.
Like they're slowly trying to do Young Avengers with the characters and
I see those threads.
Yeah. And go through there. But so that was probably the issue with externals, but who knows?
Hey. We're still waiting.
You want to go check on it?
No, I mean it's a live wait list. We're still third in line.
We're waiting for lunch.
I'm still hungry.
Yes.
Oh, by the way, this is Jesse from Colorado.
I would introduce him. Hi, Jesse from Colorado.
We failed to introduce him before we started talking to him.
I'm good, thank you, though. Hi, Glen and Jason from Georgia.
It's funny to bump into people
Oh,
at the convention.
dude, it is. I had like 2 or 3 people stop me and be like,
That was
Still-
the first photo.
"Oh yeah,
Oh, you got a photo op now?
Yeah, photo op. They're like, we take a photo with you? I'm like, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
What was his name? From Florida?
Chris.
Chris from Florida.
Yeah.
Hi, Chris.
I think he's a member of the club too.
Is he?
Yeah, he's talking about coming up for the social.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
That's a fun time.
And then we had some random old dude like, I know you from videos, and I'm like, all right.
What videos?
I guess Jordan's videos or your videos. All the porn I used to make in the 80s.
I was gonna say, it doesn't really like narrow it down when you say some random old guy at a convention where I'm 39 and I am probably by far one of the youngest people there.
Right.
Outside of like small children that got dragged by their moms
parents.
and dads.
Yeah. So yeah, this was like random old dude. And, hey man, how you doing? I live up here in wherever. And I
So
mean, he was
next year,
cool.
you guys gonna have a booth and take photos with everyone?
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
We'll charge $20 too.
All right. And then we'll spend,
I mean,
spend
my
that money.
understanding from Celebration, that's a steal.
Yeah. Dude, Celebration. You did the autographs at Celebration. You did a couple,
I
right?
did 2.
How was that? Have you done any other celebrations?
That was my first. First time for that.
So you went and you prepaid and then you just walked up to the table? And
Basically, yeah, you print out your ticket, they scan it, they take it, you get your signature, and that's it. Chewbacca was fast.
Right.
Which
Ewan
Chewbacca was it?
Jonas. The new one.
Is he the only one that?
He's the only
does it
one,
now?
yeah. Which I'm hoping they do more Chewbacca in something. I don't know. I miss Chewie.
I realized I asked that question, and then as soon as I asked it, I was like, "Oh yeah,
Yeah, Peter's not with
yeah,
us anymore.
Peter." There's
His wife was there.
Yeah.
They got a big foundation that they're working on.
oh nice. Or at least if I don't like the character, then I'll still have the one for Fox, But like to me, like the initial stuff they're showing with it, I liked it. Like I like the Kamakura package that they did. I like some of the Marvel stuff, but then again, I open everything Marvel. So.
Yeah, the Marvel stuff is kind of interesting and creative with the VHS thing.
What's that?
The VHS packaging.
Oh, I love those.
Yeah. I don't know if they can get away with that with Star Wars, though.
It's two different audiences.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. I know I get that, but I'm just
Because I mean,
saying.
like, if you look at who those VHS, because they're only the X-Men ones that they're doing right now. I mean, they might do Spider-Man, I'd imagine, since that ran concordantly with X-Men the animated series. But like that audience is going to be roughly about 30 to 40. So that's where they are. The ones with like Star Wars, they're already out. They are probably already in their 20s.
Yep.
Late teens, something like that.
Yep.
To them, the Toy Biz, VHS, is not going to matter. So probably not their wheelhouse unless, you're a fool like I am.
We're all fools.
Right. Well, the reason Jason don't like the packaging is because he did the TVC line and he's trying to complete the line.
I'm doing the same. Like, because I don't mind those deluxe figures that they're doing right now.
10 to 15 minutes.
Because I think that's what all the figures are going to end up looking like anyway.
Right.
So like someone I was talking to today brought up the old Takara Star Wars figures were all in small boxes.
Right.
So they're like, maybe Vintage might move to that. Which if they do that, I think that'd be cool.
Right.
It seems like they're testing the waters with those deluxe figures. Those are all in boxes.
Yeah, and that's what I was telling Glenn. Like, I think they look cool. Like, you can still hang them up, still display the same way that I display my Vintage line. But
Well, someone mocked up PVC, and they put on the front the box instead of the plastic bubble. And apparently, allegedly, somebody who sells that kind of stuff and is in the business said that's pretty close to what we're going to get.
Oh, that's not bad. I did notice, and you guys might be able to correct me on it, but I felt like the Vintage collection is the only line Hasbro has not officially said when or if they're doing away with plastic on it. Or just
Yeah, because
plastic.
2023, or at the end of this year, 2022, is when they're supposed to be all plastic free.
Was
But
the
then-
end of everything that's revealed this year. 'Cause I think that's their caveat with a lot of stuff. So if they reveal it in December, then there's still a chance that it might be that because they have so many production delays or truthfully shipping delays because all of our toys are sitting somewhere out in the Pacific at the moment.
Anything they reveal in 2023 will be plastic free. Is that what you're kind of?
Everything they do in 2023 right now, its initial reveal, I think we're slowly phasing out of it. But you still see a lot of stuff that they're talking about down the pipeline that they still have.
Yeah, everything so
Plastic.
far is like summer 2023, and they'll show the plastic bubble. But anything they reveal in 2023 could potentially be plastic free.
I don't know Star Wars enough, so you guys can correct me, but there are G.I. Joe figures on the classified line that they're still revealing that are going to have plastic on them. Or they'll do similar to what they do on the Star Wars thing where they have this figure's in the pipeline, reveal to come later. And for all except I would say one so far, they still had the plastic screen with it. I think their line the stuff with G.I. Joe is when they start going back to releasing their 5 figures per wave, which they plan to do in 2024, that's going to be the first one with it. But they have the last 2 figures that they've shown packaging for were plastic free. But then supposedly ones that they've announced in the pipeline that they haven't shown the digital those, or they've just done the digital renders for, those might still be plastic.
Yeah.
To me, it's something that they're, I think, almost purposely being quiet on, other than
Our table's
by
ready.
the end it's going to be done.
Yeah.
All right, our table's ready. We're gonna go eat. We're starving. Food. Welcome back. We're coming back from Toylana, Joefest in Augusta, Georgia.
Agusta GA. I feel like every time I hear Agusta, Georgia, I have to say it like James Brown. So,
How did he say it?
he just sang it. He just said, Agusta GA.
Is that in Coming to America? Did he sing it like that?
No, I think it was actually in
Rocky.
No, like one of his 60s songs.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, I don't know which one. Probably multiple.
He probably did. Well, because he did the "I living in America." Huh. That's our bad James Brown. They moved the James Brown exhibit, which
It was a bummer.
yeah, you were looking forward to seeing
I was
it.
looking forward to seeing it.
And for people listening, James Brown's from Augusta, Georgia. Make that connection.
I think they were getting there, Jason.
I hope so. But if you're like me, you'd be in the car saying, "What are they doing?"
Why is there a James Brown exhibit in Augusta, Georgia?
Exactly.
And why is there a street named after him and a school and all kinds of crazy stuff?
They must just really love him there.
You're right. All right, what are you guys telling secrets back there?
Nothing? No one?
Jason, what did you think?
I thought it was a slower show. I wish I had struck earlier on those Cantina Band figures.
Yeah.
I'm getting tired about talking about that, but when we came back from lunch,
They were-
they're
that-
wrong.
That's why you buy it when you see it, man. Unless it's really expensive, and then because nobody's gonna buy it if it's really expensive, or you would hope. But
I bought a red snaggletooth, but now that I'm driving, I'm like, do I already have a red snaggletooth?
those are the worst.
Wait a minute. I don't know. I don't think I do.
Well, I hope it's an upgrade for you.
And the paint was really nice. It came with a plaster. I don't think, if I have a red snaggletooth, I don't think it's got the plaster.
Turns out you have 3 red snaggletooths already.
Oh my gosh. I'm having a senior moment.
Jordan,
Where am I?
Jordan broke into your Wi-Fi and is looking in your room right now. Yeah. Last year it seemed like there was more quality Star Wars stuff than there was this year, but it was also, I think, concentrated in a couple of booths because they had a guy who had a bunch of the stuffed Ewoks still in the boxes, and that guy, the same that same space, I think, was occupied by a different guy. It seemed like they had a lot more artists this year, or at least they had like an artist corner. It looked like they had set the show up a little bit different this year too. Maybe there was more booths, but to me it feels like a bigger show than Toylanta. But I could be wrong. It could be the same size, but just in a bigger room. I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough because Toylanta's got one ballroom and then 12 other smaller rooms you got to split off from, so it's tough to kind of gauge.
Yeah. What do you guys think?
I enjoyed it. It was my first Joefest, so I enjoyed it. I only walked out with a couple pieces, but nothing too crazy. And actually, one of those pieces I traded for. Like I didn't spend. I think I spent a total of $25 at the show. But there was a lot of great stuff, just not a lot of the stuff that I was immediately kind of like looking for. And I know like earlier in the podcast I said I was kind of keeping my options open, but nothing really jumped out at me that I said, I have to take that home immediately. So
yeah,
I feel you're Rich. Did you find anything?
I didn't really find anything. This was my first Joefest too, and really, I think the biggest thing that I was really impressed by was the variety of different things. Like there was, the concentration of like the 1980s, early 90s G.I. Joe stuff, but then there was also a lot of good Star Wars stuff, a lot of hot toys in between booths. I saw a lot of independent figures like the Marauders, the Gun Runners. Spiro had some of their Kingdom figures that are coming up. And I actually saw a booth that was carrying some of the Warhammer Joy Toy stuff.
Is that independent stuff seems like it's come a long way, or it's starting to come up, or whatever. There's a lot of people that carry it, and I didn't, or collect it, and I didn't even know that thing was that those were a thing up until recently.
Yeah, I kind of took a chance and took a dive in. I'd always been kind of doing the gun club models and stuff like that, and I was always kind of looking for like a larger scale mech. And especially with Joy Toy, that kind of fit in like the G.I. Joe scale and heavily articulated figures that come with those mechs kind of surprised me as well. So just, buying it directly from them for like $87 just to try something new was well worth the risk.
So it was like $87 for a figure and a mech?
Yep. And this is about a 7 to 8 inch mech.
Wow. So is it like Robotech? Or is it Robotech? Or
kind of. You can definitely tell that there's a lot of inspiration from different like mecha series, because like even it's a good quality plastic. It has pistons, ratchet joints. It has customizable armor parts. The figure that comes with it has plenty of accessories and a removable helmet. So I mean, like they've definitely got their look and concept down. Like they know, what their audience is as far as the designs that they're providing.
I really wish you would not have told me about that, because I used to kind of be into like the Robotech, and you always are looking for something else to collect, another rabbit hole to go down, and damn it.
Didn't you buy those Voltron?
I did.
Figures at the Gwinnett show?
I did.
Yeah.
It's kind of that same feel, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah. And, I had seen, I had picked up once, like, the Acid Rain. 3D.
Is that like Chocolate Rain?
Chocolate Rain!
But
that derailed the conversation.
You got one?
Yep.
And I bought it directly from the company. Like, they're outsourcing through Amazon.
That's cool.
Like, you could pick it up in places
I
like
thought about getting
Entertainment
one, but
Earth
where am I
and
gonna put it?
Big Bad Toy Store, but I had wound up finding them on Amazon. And the way the designs are, it ranges from like urban warfare to military specific. There's like an airborne mech range, so you get a lot of versatility in like weapons, look and design. And they even have other parts, like I guess they call them like sub-series. There's like one called Battle for the Stars, which is more like specific like sci-fi and space adventure mechs. Like it kind of reminds me of Macross a little bit.
And you can find that stuff on Amazon.
Yep.
I'm gonna have to look that up. Damn it! Thanks, man.
Listen,
so much.
Hold on. This is every conversation I have with Richard. Like, Richard and I go toy hunting just about every weekend, and I'm like, I gotta stop collecting new stuff. And then Richard's like, but check this out, and I'm like, damn it, Richard. And then I spend another $200 on stuff. But I'm okay with it. I'm not mad at it because it's cool stuff. But like, you know, I don't think we were recording when we were talking about this on the way up. But whenever I was asking you guys about like, you know, like more premium style figures, especially when it comes in the way of Star Wars, like that's kind of the way. Like what do you collect whenever you've collected everything you wanted to collect? Like you still need that collecting outlet, and I think a lot of people are starting to go towards like a lot of these more higher end figures, like, you know, the Mayfexes and the Mezcos and the Joy Toys and the SH Figure Arts, etc., etc. So, but yeah, it's one of those things like when you're staying back in the $20, $25 price point, and every once in a while you dip your toe into the higher price point, but then you see how great the quality of figures are, you're like, it's kind of hard to turn back.
It really is. I think that's why I've kind of been disenfranchised by the Black Series, because they're getting up to $25-$30 a figure, right? And the quality isn't there.
The quality is kind of staying the same, right? It's not. You're getting the same figures that you used to get for $17, almost at $27 these days.
Right, and for $40 or $50, you can get a way better quality figure.
Right. So,
I mean, that's one thing that kind of kills me is let's look at how much Wrecker was. I mean, you're getting a lot more plastic than you usually get, and a larger figure. I think it's about what, a $32.99 price point.
He was a $31.50 when I bought mine. He was $31.49.
Right. So now, you know, we're getting in the upsell, and now it's getting to about $25.99. So you're not that fell off. So what used to be like considered a deluxe figure, because even that Boba Fett that was out not too long ago was like at a $31.
That was I paid $29.99 for mine.
And that Boba Fett, you're getting a ton of stuff with it.
Yeah.
Versus the Wrecker and the Zeb.
Right, like the deluxe Boba Fett, I felt like warranted the deluxe size. But like and you know what? I would even go so far as to say like maybe Wrecker. Like you're walking a fine line with the Wrecker, but I don't think he was that much bigger than the Crosshair or the Tech but. Like the Saw Gerrera that's coming up, I don't feel like that needs to be a $30 figure.
No. Right. It's a bigger figure. Hasbro, suck it up.
But is it though? Like I mean, it's might be a slightly bigger figure, but I don't know if it's.
Yeah, there's more plastic in that one.
But it's like they got us on the Jawas, they got us on the Ewoks, so suck it up.
Well, they also used to give you 2 Jawas.
True.
Back in the day, you used to get. You know, back in the Power of the Force 2 days, you got 2 Jawas, 2 Ugnaughts, you know. But whenever they started doing, I guess, Vintage Collection and Black Series, they started only putting 1 Jawa.
Right, well, it's like the droids, like the Hondo's droid, it's a figure that doesn't do anything, but they sure the hell charge you $25 for it.
That's one thing that's kind of like, I'm about to quote Don King, but what a time to be alive. As far as like collecting, because you're starting to get those better options. I mean, there are companies that are coming out, and they're coming out swinging hard. I mean, not too long ago, you bought the Gladiator figure.
Oh yeah, it was X-Ray Studio,
and this is their first foray into 6-inch action figures. I feel like they knocked it out of the park for a $45, $50 figure.
It was 55 or 60, but it was 6-inch. But it's also something that's so totally niche that, like, I can't walk into a Target and buy like an ancient Roman general action figure, right? Like this this is something that somebody's like very specific that a company's doing, and no one else is doing it. So
Now, are you buying it just because you're a history buff?
yes, yeah, because like again, well, yeah, context for people who are listening. I'm a history educator, but you know, where else can you find? Who else is doing like historical lines of toys?
Right.
Not really anybody. So
Unless you count the 80s.
the which one?
The 80s.
Yeah. But
Well-
even then, like, I don't see anybody doing like Greek hoplite figures. I don't see anybody doing, you know, Roman gladiator figures. And so I feel like these independent toy companies, in order to, not only are you have to make yourself stand out to get your product to sell and hope that there's a market for it, but you also are competing from other independent toy companies. Like, you know, the Four Horsemen and Mythic Legions are probably like on the bigger scale, but
especially
Yeah.
with just the demand of the market. I
Right.
mean, they're essentially doing fantasy figures that are of their own design and conceptual stories, but and this is purely based on pre-orders that come up. But how often do you hear about or see about? I mean, even at this convention we just walked away from, there were 4 different vendors that had rows of Mythic Legions.
yeah,
And that's something I did not see last year
right.
at any convention.
See, now you guys are making me feel like an asshole not paying attention to all those toys, because there was a lot of that stuff there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but I mean, you know, it's you don't know about it until you know about it, though, right?
Right.
Like, I mean, I didn't know about Mythic Legions until about like 7 or 8 months ago,
Yeah.
and then now I pay attention to it just because I'm aware of it. But
I guess maybe it's poo-pooing it, or I poo-pooed them because it's not an IP that I'm interested, or, you know, it's a self-made IP.
right, but yeah, you know, it's but again, you know, you're into what you're into, right?
Exactly.
So
And that kind of drives where you put your money or what you invest in or collect.
Right. But there's only so many Star Wars figures I can have.
exactly.
Very true.
I mean, you know, like I'm pretty much keeping to my clone army and my original trilogy figures at this point, but I gotta keep it. I gotta keep it like that so I can collect the other stuff that's kind of like the quirkier stuff and not like major IP, I guess.
Right. Yeah, the thing I guess is shocking me the most is like how much mask stuff is rising.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and especially, you know, I can say on the fact, I've been casually collecting for years, but in the last 3 years, I've kind of been more heavy into it. And I would say today, I saw more of the stuff that I would have actively collected when I started getting into collecting
Uh-huh.
than I have ever before. I mean, I saw carded Toxic Crusader figures, and I haven't ever seen those in person.
Uh-huh.
Same thing with those Cowboy Mesas that I missed out on. Never saw them carded ever until today.
And I think you're starting to see that more. People are digging stuff out of their closets or finding the oddball stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's not fun being an oddball collector, but then it's fun at the same time.
Yeah.
And there's a uniqueness to your collection. I mean, that's so everybody has that one or more piece that kind of is like the icing on the cake of what they collect. I mean, I know for you and Jason, I've really been impressed with a lot of the production samples that you guys have.
Right.
It's not, yeah, but again, like that's not something you can walk into a Walmart and get, right? Like,
Right.
You got to seek that stuff out.
Right. Now a lot of it falls in your lap, or you know,
Yeah.
just it's a lot of legwork to get some of that stuff.
Yeah.
Jason, your thoughts?
I agree.
He's busy driving.
Good talk, Jason.
I'm adding my color commentary.
Yeah. I love toys.
Toys are good.
I like turtles.
Apparently, I've never been on live TV before.
Jason, I think we need to start again. You need to start.
Never watched the news.
Oh man. You need to start doing more impersonations, man. Maybe.
I don't know. What did you pick up, Glenn? What did you get?
Some cases from AFA.
Yeah.
That was it?
That's it. There was a hard copy Chewbacca that I was interested in, but I couldn't pull the trigger on it.
There was a $200 vintage collection Luke prototype for $200 that I wanted, but I'm post celebration. I'm still recovering, so I didn't get it.
Did Clifton have that?
No.
Oh. So there was more pre-production stuff.
There was, other booths had pre-production stuff.
That's good.
Last year they had no pre-production stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Toy Department was there, but they bring... It's all Joes. They go to a Joe show and they bring 99% Joes.
Yeah.
Or they bring the high-end Star Wars stuff, and it's like, no, you can't always be spending $5,000 on a figure.
Exactly. They'll bring the. They had a lot of. The first 12 graded, and they were wanting in the neighborhood about 3,000 each for them.
Only?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll buy them all for that.
Yeah. Buy them all right now.
Yes. Max out the credit cards. No, hold on. I've got that sitting in my pocket.
Let me slap out that $1,000 for you in cash real quick.
It's not my money. It's Visa's.
You're right. Yeah. Well, Toy Department last year had a couple of prototypes that were cool to see, but they didn't bring them out this year. And I think the Star Wars stuff, they just didn't have it this year. But like I always say, it takes one vendor to have one item. Or one vendor to bring half his stuff, Star Wars stuff, and you're happy. But there was still a lot of Star Wars stuff. Like you said, they're starting to bring the oddball stuff out more often.
I saw some really fair price Black Series stuff today too.
My goodness, there was one piece I almost bought, the Luke, the comic pack Luke that had the whatever that thing that Thrawn has, the lizard. For only $10, and I'd have bought it just for the lizard.
So that dude, I know exactly which booth you're talking about. That guy was at Toylanta, and he was downstairs in the bigger room in Toylanta. He was the one booth in the center of the room, and then the rest of the room had tables around the walls.
Oh yeah.
So
okay.
I bought something from that guy. I bought a Super 7 Ninja Turtles figure, an Ultimates figure, which normally retail for $50 to $55, and at Toylanta I got that figure for $40, and I thought that was a good deal then. And whenever we went in and I found that guy's booth, he had some leftover stock from Toylanta for the same figures for $25. And and all of his the majority of his Black Series stuff was $10 to $15, and then he had one end cap of newer Black Series stuff for $20, which is still like $3 cheaper than retail.
Right.
So he had a whole bunch of 501st Archive figures for $20. He had the new Rosario Dawson Ahsoka for $20.
Wow.
And he had somebody else for $20, but all of his stuff was very competitively priced.
I mean, it was like a fire sale going on.
I mean, they just needed money.
Maybe.
Because, I mean, like, he had some import figures, the highest stuff for Alien vs. Predator, which usually retails about $20. He had them half off. They were like 10. I saw one guy that Jordan made a trade with. He had like 10 of them that he had gotten from that table.
Damn.
So, I probably should have picked up that one figure that I saw earlier for $25. But I'm not regretting it. I'm gonna be able to sleep tonight.
And I mean, it was the Mutagen Man.
Yeah, that the Mondo Gecko, the Mutagen Man Mondo Gecko figure. Yeah.
And those even like on Amazon right now are going for about $40. So.
Yeah. Well, I did think of something while we were talking. I can add to the Glen gets run over by celebrities.
Wait, who ran over you?
Ricky Steamboat almost ran over me.
No, really?
Yeah. And this guy like kind of half-ass bumps into me, and I'm like, oh shit, it's Ricky Steamboat. I'm gonna let that go. It seems like every show of a celebrity runs me over for some reason.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Apparently, I don't know Ricky Steamboat.
You never watched wrestling?
No.
Oh, man.
Oh man.
Ricky
the
Steamboat.
Dragon.
Ricky the Dragon
Ricky the
Steamboat.
Dragon Steamboat.
Don't know.
And
The Steiner brothers.
Yeah, Steiner brothers were there.
And the King. Jerry the
Jerry
King.
King Lawler. But I'm telling you, man, Ricky Steamboat, Macho Man, WrestleMania 3.
Oh,
One of the
yeah,
best wrestling
man.
matches you'll ever see, man.
I
People
rem-
still talk about that match
Yeah,
today.
Yeah.
Still.
I remember when I was like 8 or 9 years old going up to a World of Wheels and he was there.
Nice.
Ricky Steamboat. We went there just to meet Ricky Steamboat. And now he'd be like, World of what? But it was kind of sad because the Steiners were kind of sitting there bored, it looked like.
Yeah. Well, one of the Steiners lives by us.
Yeah.
I think both of them might.
Yeah.
I think you know what? I think you're right.
In Woodstock.
Yeah, because one of them's running for school board.
Right, I think he's
Rick
on the
Steiner.
school board
Yeah,
right now.
Yeah. Or maybe he's running for re-election.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it says re-elect, and his
Yeah.
brother used to own a Shoney's.
That was the other Steiner brothers.
Right.
Yeah.
Big Pop, no, Big Papa
Big
Pump.
Papa
was-
Pump.
Well, yeah.
He's your hookup.
Yeah.
Holla.
Holla if you hear
If
me.
you hear me. The big bad booty daddy. Where's my genetic freaks at?
Come get your Shoney's breakfast bar.
Look, legit, my buddy and I used to have a ritual every the morning of every WWE Survivor Series. We would go and eat at Scott Steiner's Shoney's, and then go back to his place and watch wrestling all day until the pay-per-view. And but because the pandemic happened, they closed down the Shoney's, and it's a bummer. But the handful of times
Is it really a bummer that they closed down a Shoney's?
Buddy, I can mess up a Shoney's breakfast buffet. I will fully admit to.
There's only one thing I mess up after a Shoney's breakfast buffet.
And it ain't the buffet.
I was staying in Charlotte. I had to go up to Charlotte for work, and there was a Shoney's next door in the same, like next door to the hotel. I'm like, sweet, I'm gonna go get a breakfast buffet. And the guy's like, you'll regret that. And then at lunch, later on in the day, he's like, did you go to get Shoney's? I'm like, yeah. He goes, how you feeling now? I'm like, not good.
Hey man, listen, is it a good idea? No. Is it a good idea at the time? Also, still no. But I'm gonna do it anyway.
Right. Because where else can you get 5 pounds of bacon for $15?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Jason, have you ever had a Shoney's breakfast buffet?
I don't know. Probably not, because no bathroom trips come to mind. So
Jason's like, this is a Star Wars show.
this is exactly. What are we doing? You guys see Obi-Wan?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, let's talk
Yeah.
Obi-Wan.
I loved it.
It was
Amazing.
Might actually be my favorite thing from the Disney era.
Yes.
I
And-
wanted. I don't know what I wanted out of the Obi-Wan show, but what they gave me seemed to hit every button that I didn't know I wanted to have hit.
Yeah, because it had a theme. It was about trauma.
Right.
And coping with trauma. And that's deeper than any Star Wars property has ever gone before.
Right.
Or at least in the Disney era.
Right.
Not
And
gonna
there,
do it.
there was like a self-redemption arc, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he was called. It followed the hero's journey. He was called into action. He was reluctant to do it. He did it. You know, he crossed the threshold. You know, he was saving little Leia, who is fantastic, by the way.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh my God, man! Give that girl like tons of awards because she was fantastic in that show. But like Obi-Wan, just you see that he's lost touch, and then through his redemption story, he gets back in touch with the Force and realizes that he still has it. So
That moment with Obi-Wan and Darth Vader was perfect.
Yeah.
And that kept transitioning between James Earl Jones's Vader and Hayden Christensen's Anakin.
Yeah.
I mean, hats off to the writers there.
was it the line where he says, "You didn't kill Anakin Skywalker. I did."
The way he delivered those lines, he was trying to talk like James Earl Jones, which was wonderful. Because he was like, "You didn't kill Anakin, I did." And it was just very, very, the cadence was very much James Earl Jones.
Right.
I kind of wonder, So is he boasting that he killed Anakin, or is he letting Obi-Wan off the hook?
No, I don't. I think it was more of like self-empowerment. It was like,
Yeah,
no,
like
this was my doing
yeah.
the whole time. I knew what I was doing.
This was my choice
Yeah.
all along. Well, and especially, we see those parallels in Reva. Like,
Yeah.
I think it was very kind of coincidental and ironic to the plot of it when you're seeing a character who's just as strong-willed, just as motivated by revenge. And they always, and that, that split second that she has when she sees Luke unconscious, and she has those regrets because she can't, erase the fact that as a youngling she saw Anakin's face right before he struck her down and the rest of her friends, and she couldn't do anything.
I'm still trying to figure out what she was doing on Tatooine and why she was hunting Luke down. I mean, you think that's something we're ever going to figure out?
No, well, she at the end of the second to last episode,
She found the
found yeah,
Right, but did you think she put two and two together?
yeah.
Yes.
That's why she ended up on Tatooine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that was going to be her ultimate revenge.
Well, that was like, I think that was her unlikely ace in the hole that she didn't know she had. Like, because she thought she was beaten.
Yeah.
But then she found the hollow from Bail Organa, and she knows who Bail Organa is because she set up to have her his daughter, or Leia, kidnapped.
Right.
So this is obviously only meant for one person, which would be Obi-Wan. So I think she put two and two together.
Yeah.
Like, because Reva, a lot of people were giving her character crap for those first 2 or 3 episodes. Reva was incredibly smart.
yeah.
Like, she orchestrated everything that ended up that made Obi-Wan Obi-Wan. Like, she orchestrated all the key plot points that put the ball rolling.
Yeah.
Whenever I knew that there was more to her character, and I think also, I think as fans, we like a lot of people, myself included, because I'm guilty of this sometimes. It's like, if you're watching a show that's got multiple episodes, buddy, just cool it until not after after the first 2 episodes. Don't say something doesn't make sense because you haven't seen the rest of the story yet, right? Like, let's wait. Like, that's the one thing that I don't like is whenever people are like, well, none of this makes sense. I'm like, buddy, you saw the first 15 minutes of the first episode. They're not going to give you their entire hand of cards in the first 15 minutes. It's a slow burn. You have to watch the whole story and then take it, ingest it and take it in that way.
Right. But give me now attitude.
Right.
I want it now.
I hate that.
Guys.
And sometimes I'm guilty of that, and so I always check myself on it. So I do try to practice what I preach.
Right. No, that's my argument with everything. And people will ask, and it's like, I don't get it, but it's only been 2 episodes.
Right. Yeah. So we still have 4 episodes left, man. Like, chill out and then go back and reassess.
Right.
I think part of it, especially with streaming entertainment, we've kind of been spoiled on the fact of getting like an entire series handed to us.
Right. You can binge it.
Right.
Right.
We've kind of lost that complexity in
people forgot how to watch
storytelling.
TV.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Because you don't realize. Yeah. You forget. You see you'll watch like an old TV show. Like, I'll listen to like the Office podcast, and they're like, oh yeah, Friday nights or Ghost Hunter or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh crap, I remember having to schedule my whole day around watching TV, and you don't do that anymore.
Or just the fact that you used to have to wait a week to watch an episode of something.
Right.
Like pre-streaming or pre-recording. So yeah, we've just forgotten how to watch episodic television.
Yes.
To be properly entertained.
Right.
Right. And I think Disney kind of got it right, because you do have to have that. You have that cliffhanger, because we're burning through Dexter, and it's the same. There is no cliffhanger, because it's what happened next episode. Yeah.
But anyway, I'm sorry I went on a tangent on that, but Reva, I really liked Reva's character, and what Richard was talking about, you see her right as she's about to cross that line, and she has all of those visions of what happened to her, and she realized, she's like, no, I don't want to become this guy, And that was her moment of self-realization. You know, it's always like it's gonna get worse before it gets better, and that was like rock bottom for her. And then when she realized that no, she didn't want to be Darth Vader, and then like there was that line that Obi-Wan said, and I'm paraphrasing because I can't remember exact line, but Ree was like, well, what do I do now? And she's like, and Obi-Wan's like, you can go and be you.
Right,
You
you're
have
free.
yeah, it's your
become, choose to become.
yeah.
I did like Obi-Wan saying goodbye, Darth.
Yeah.
That's a moment of acceptance of what has happened, a moment of letting go, and moving forward.
Yep.
You could almost see the lines on his face relieve him, the relief when he was like, Vader was like, I didn't kill Anakin. You didn't kill Anakin, I did, or whatever. And then his realization that, it's not all his fault. That he's been carrying this guilt around for 10 years for no reason.
And it's like every encounter, every instance that he remembers the duel with Anakin, that's always, and bravo to McGregor, the way that he emoted that. Like every time there was always a pained expression. And you see when he says the line about, I killed Anakin, it just drops.
Right.
Like, because there's that whole thing is he's felt guilt because he felt Anakin was his responsibility the whole time.
Right. Jason's yawning, just so people know.
No. You're stabbing me right now. I'm making things up too. I loved the goodbye between Obi-Wan and Leia. That was pitch perfect. Obi-Wan was protecting his past, protecting her from learning the past. And he got to the point where he's able to give her what she wanted and let her know that she's doing the right thing, she's on the right path, which sets her off for the rest of her life being on a crusading adventure with the rebellion.
And one part that kind of got glazed over is like we're all talking about she knew Ben, how did the R2 thing is so formal, and they fixed it in like two lines.
Yeah.
Nobody can know we know each other. It's better that way. And you're just like, holy crap, this one thing that I've been has been eating me the whole whole season got settled in 2 lines.
Well,
So-
and even if the way that they did that, even if we don't even get a second season, this is like a perfect time to go back and watch A New Hope.
Right.
I was watching it with Harrison, and about halfway I go, you know what would be awesome? At the end, after he's finished his adventure, Master Qui-Gon appears and he goes, Master Qui-Gon, hello there. And then they just end it. Well, we got as much better with him walking up to Luke and saying hello there. It just felt right.
Yeah.
The cameos with Qui-Gon Jinn felt forced because
I get it.
I did that on purpose too. It felt crowbarred in. It didn't feel natural because with it there, I'm like, okay, so what happens next? Because that seems to be pretty important. That Qui-Gon suddenly showed up. What's going to happen now?
Well, it's always been tied that Qui-Gon's the one that figures out the Force Ghost thing. Because it was tied in Clone Wars. Yoda goes to Dagobah to learn about it. So Qui-Gon has always been kind of the one that figures it out.
And in the flashback in Obi-Wan, Yoda even says that so that he can get more training, is accessing Qui-Gon. Sorry.
Right.
Accessing him through the Force, like to access his Force Ghost.
Right.
Was that at the end of Revenge of the Sith where he's like, more training I have for you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Qui-Gon was supposed to be in that at the end. They cut that out. There's a scene where Yoda's meditating and there's a blue light that kind of fades from his face. You're supposed to see Qui-Gon in front of him.
Oh, interesting.
But I also liked the Sidious cameos.
Yeah.
Basically, it sets up that relationship between them. And also seems to allude that Sidious can kind of sense there's still some good in Anakin. And I got to bring him back. I got to make him feel hate for himself.
Yeah, especially for the fact that they'd been so adamant about finding Obi-Wan, and then he mentions about his feelings, because I think there was a moment that even though Anakin was ready, well, Darth Vader's ready to kill Obi-Wan, there's also like still some opportunity that Luke utilizes later in the original trilogy at the end of Return of the Jedi that was potential before. That's the reason the Emperor's kind of like, no, we're going to let him go.
I liked Obi-Wan's costume at the end.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a lot inspired by Alec Guinness, but it also was like some sort of wanderer look with the heavy cloak and the sunglasses, the goggles around his neck.
Hot Toys did a figure like that. It's straight off that figure.
Yep. I thought that was pretty cool. Just thought it was a very good episode. It tied up all the loose ends really well. It elevated the entire series. You can kind of see from beginning to end, this is somebody who suffered from trauma based on what had happened to him in the past. He's been stuck for 10 years, unable to move. And because of this whole adventure and seeing Anakin and letting go, he's come to a healing point where he's able to be the mentor that Luke needs in 8 more years.
Right.
I don't think there was a weak episode of this show.
No.
Like, I think they were all pretty spot on and solid.
Yep.
Well, that's what happens when you only have 6 episodes.
Right. Well, I mean, that's what you want when there's only 6 episodes, right? Like, It's a bummer whenever there's a weak one, but every episode was a banger for me.
I think Deborah Chow is an amazing director.
Agreed.
Andrew Stanton wrote the last 2, or co-wrote last 2, and he's Pixar. He wrote and directed Finding Nemo and a couple of the other ones. I can't pull it off the top of my head, but he's got that ability to pull emotion out when you need it. And so I wonder if they brought him in to do a pass to help heighten those emotions and really knock it out of the park.
Is that why that one guy had a short arm since he wrote Finding Nemo?
That's why. And that's why Darth Vader kept forgetting who he was every 3 seconds.
I think what Disney...
Just keep swinging. Just keep swinging.
I think what Disney has really done well is the fact that the difference between what we see in the movies and what we've seen in these episodic miniseries is we've seen characters more at a humane level. There are opportunities in between the action, like especially like for instance Mandalorian, like to see how that relationship between Grogu and Din Djarin develops, and especially even the fact that at that last season Book of Boba Fett, like Grogu made the choice to stay with him. Like he could have continued training as a Jedi or chosen to be a Mandalorian.
We'll bring Book of Boba Fett back up in a minute. Or yes, once we're done with Obi-Wan,
I think in the parallels of those 2 experiences, that's what they've been able to explore a lot more, which you saw also in like the Clone Wars and Rebels.
Yes. I enjoyed it. I liked this is going to sound weird, but I liked the fact that lightsabers were used as flashlights. If that makes sense, the glow on the lightsabers were such a badass effect.
Yeah, but then you watch New Hope and you're like, it's all gone. It's not there anymore. Or even the prequel trilogy.
Right.
It's not there. This technology has evolved, but just because you can do it doesn't mean you should, because you would think it would sound and look more like the original trilogy.
Well, they also never fought at night either.
Well, that's what my wife pointed out. She comes from a family of huge Star Wars fans, and she instantly pointed that out. She's like, I love how during In the Dark the lightsabers are so vibrant, so it adds that much more depth to it. Because there is this sort of aesthetic drama to it too.
Right.
Like especially when you see like Obi-Wan ignite his lightsaber, you see that shadow of his face, and he's scared shitless.
And I also thought Obi-Wan had some really interesting handholds on his saber. Because, when he's fighting Darth Vader, instead of holding it like more traditionally, when he's pushing up on Darth Vader, he reverses that top hand to feel like it's given a little bit more push to it.
He does his Clone War pose, which was
that was like, oh shit.
It sounded like Donkey Kong.
Yeah, let's go.
I feel like there isn't, we need to get away from the whole Obi-Wan corner of the universe and tell other stories, but I think there's a story with Darth Vader becoming the Master, as we see in the New Hope, because he got his butt served to him in Obi-Wan. Right. Yeah. So how does he go from that to becoming so confident where he can say, I am now the Master? Like, what did he do that he can now definitively say that?
Yeah, there's that. There's I know they're talking about doing a Reva thing. There's Rebels. I mean, maybe you think, no, they want to do that. They want to throw that in with Rebels.
We always go back to Rebels.
It is always Rebels. But now there's the. Would you think they would throw Darth Vader in with the Ahsoka show?
No, because it's past that. We're 5 years past.
No.
Yeah, we're in the Mandalorian territory with that show.
Are we? Oh yeah, shit, we are. Sorry. My brain is thinking Rebels timeline, not Ahsoka timeline.
Always Rebels.
It's always Rebels, man. Always Rebels.
A couple of things that I think I would like to see, and I've said this back whenever they announced Obi-Wan as the movie before it was even a show, but especially after they confirmed that Hayden Christensen was coming back, was like, I see this as like not only like a character-wise like redemption story, but like an actor-wise redemption story for Hayden Christensen, because like a lot of people were not kind to him when the prequels came out, and now it's and you've heard a lot of this in the press junkets where now that the people those movies were made for are adults and have loved them the way that we loved the original trilogy growing up, they're getting a much more positive reception. And I thought, like, this is going to be Hayden Christensen's, like, redemption story of, like, he's going to be Darth Vader and Anakin Skywalker. And, I never had a problem with Hayden Christensen, but I know, but, like, for him
he once cut me in line at the grocery store.
Against him, it sounds like.
I got a problem with him.
But, like, point being is, like, I feel like this is him coming back to say, no, I'm Anakin Skywalker, and this is how I do it, and I feel like people that were really good about embracing it this time around, and I'm really happy for them. But I would also like to see, kind of going back to Reva, I would like to see Reva's self exploration, like of her finding herself, like what kind of person does Reva want to be in the universe now, right? Does she seek out, trying to dole out some justice where it needs to be done, or is she an enemy of the Empire now, or who knows? Like I don't know. I would like to see like a making of or becoming Reva kind of show.
I think it's probably in the works. I don't know when we're gonna see it though.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is the awesome thing with having so many consistent people in these shows is the fact that they don't do things that lead to throwaway. Like something has a purpose when they introduce it. Like Mandalorian, bringing Boba Fett back had a purpose, which led into Book of Boba Fett.
Right.
So I think it's especially in what capacity, because especially having her have that redemption arc, that leads a lot of questions as where does she fit, like Jordan mentioned, where does she fit in the timeline now?
You're right. And yeah, you just got to be careful writing stuff in the past. But
people start freaking out. This doesn't line up.
Yeah. Like the Grand Inquisitor, he just showed back up. There he is.
I think it's time for new Star Wars stories. Continue your Mandalorian universe, but also let's get another time and another place, other Jedi, other Sith, other dark entities.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Well, that's what the High Republic is.
let's get away from that corner and let's go explore another one.
Well, that's also what Taika Waititi.
Yes, let's do
Taika
Taika.
Yeah,
his
direction.
because he said it's going to be a whole new direction and a whole new story, and
Let's do it.
yeah.
I mean, you have a whole universe and a whole history of things to play with.
Right.
They've done a good job kind of connecting the dots between all the different shows and the timeline so far, but there's a whole nother universe to explore.
You think the sequel trilogy will have fans in 20 years like the original trilogy and prequel
Yes.
trilogy? You think?
Yes.
Yeah.
I honestly think, and it's a generational thing. It's the same way that, we look at iconic films in our age now, like Blade Runner would be an example. When that came out, that was a commercial flop.
I just don't know if it resonated.
So, and let me just offer this perspective, if I may.
No.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks for listening to the Smuggler's Galaxy podcast.
We're all straight white dudes, right? I mean, Mandy's in the backseat. She's a straight white woman, but as far as I know. But anyway, I digress.
Never say never,
right,
Jordan.
I digress. I don't think people realize how much. What's the correct term I'm looking for? Not that I'm going to use an insensitive term, but I'm just trying to. I want to choose my words carefully.
Cheetos.
Yes, Cheetos. I don't think people realize how many Cheetos that the new Star Wars trilogy brought in to the fandom. No, there was a lot of diverse new fans that joined the Star Wars fandom because of Force Awakens, because of Rey, because of Kylo Ren, regardless of how a lot of people from the fans of the prequel trilogy or original trilogy feel about them. I feel that it ushered in a whole new diverse group of fans to Star Wars in general, not just the films, but I'm also talking about the books and the comic books, which is why we're getting I feel like we're getting a lot more diverse storytellers in Star Wars because of that, and I think that's fantastic. I mean, Star Wars, there's a galaxy of giant galaxy of people to tell stories about, and I think having a lot of these diverse authors come in and these new diverse fans is fantastic. Like, I don't think it takes anything away. I just think it adds to Star Wars. Now, like I said, I think I've said this, a lot of times whenever we hung out, where it's like, I like all Star Wars. I like some Star Wars more than other Star Wars, but at the end of the day, I still like Star Wars.
Right, it's like pizza.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen Star Wars that I've absolutely disliked. Like, I've never said I've hated this Star Wars thing.
Except for Resistance.
So
I've never seen that, actually.
What is the Hungry Howie's of Star Wars?
What's the what?
Hungry Howie's.
What's Hungry Howie's?
That's a horrible pizza. Never mind, moving on.
Pizza by Alfredo.
No.
But I think that varies from person to person, right? Like, it's gonna.
I think
That's why I'm just asking
Resistance.
Your opinion.
Right.
Resistance, I think.
I still haven't seen Resistance.
You,
so
if you're into like the really hardcore like anime stuff, anime style, it's good. I watched it just because of the kit bashing aspect of it. Everything was kit bashed, and I love that.
Well, I mean, also like I feel like we kind of went off on a tangent. My original point being is, I feel like the new trilogy, starting with Force Awakens, brought in a whole new diverse group of people into the fandom, and I feel like that's something that should be celebrated.
Right.
And I think in 10, 15, 20 years, because Force Awakens is already 7 years old. Like, it's almost dead, right? I feel like those films will get the love the prequels are getting now.
Right.
And I've been very on record in saying that I am a very big fan of The Last Jedi, and I think it's actually one of the strongest Star Wars movies. But then again,
he's stopping the car. Hold on, people.
I agree with him.
Yeah.
Right. No, I enjoyed the sequel trilogy. And like you were saying, with bringing in a new fan base, with me and my daughter, she was, that was 7 years ago, so she would have been 10. That was some fond memories.
Yeah.
Go and see that with her and having her. I got to do that with both sets of kids. Bringing them, because my older kids, they were around with the sequel trilogy, and she was around with the prequel trilogy, and you got fond memories of that. So, and now my son is in his, golly, he's almost 30. He's 27. So he's a prequel trilogy guy, and she's 17, so she'll be hopefully a sequel trilogy. And so I think they all serve their purpose. Right. And you've got to remember Star Wars is made for 7-year-olds, 7 to 10-year-olds.
I always go for the Star Wars is for everyone.
Yeah.
Right. That's my adage. Star Wars is for everyone, and I love it. I think I once again, kind of going back to my original point, is like, we see the world through straight white men eyes that sometimes we might not see how other people feel about the certain things that we see, like or interpret a movie a certain way than we see it. So I always try to be open to those voices, and a lot of times whenever I do see it and they see, like, I see so much love generated for the franchise that I love, it just makes me happy that the franchise, that ensures me that the franchise will live on for another generation or two, or however long, right?
When you see a 7-year-old girl dressed like Rey,
yeah,
you get it.
Yeah,
you're right.
Or Jin
or so, or whatever, or you see a girl of any age that connects with those characters.
Right.
It just, you understand it more.
I guess that. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. And just kind of jump into reinforcing what Jordan made a point about, is that everybody. Star Wars is so diverse that everybody has something. Everybody has their one favorite Star Wars movie.
Mm-hmm.
And not everybody's favorite Star Wars movie is the same for the same reason. Like, for instance, just Tally. Mine's Return of the Jedi. I love the storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan?
Well, it's Empire. I mean, I feel like that's like, it sounds like a cliche cop-out answer, but it is, maybe to certain people, but that's my one. Like, that's the one I love. With Last Jedi being a close second. So
right. I think that's what makes Star Wars so unique, is that everybody can find something that they like and can relate to.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think I would put Rogue One above The Last Jedi, though.
So
I don't know.
So, a hot take. Rogue One, not one of my favorites.
Dude,
no one asked. No one asked.
That's why it's called a hot take, Jason.
Right. Do we have any news? Well, first of all, I want to talk about this, and then we'll go into some, maybe if we have time.
We don't have any news.
All right, we're at an hour anyway, on top of everything we already recorded. So, Tamora Morrison has said that he wants to go back and do a badass Boba Fett. Or Boba Fett needs to be re-explored as a badass. What do you guys think of that?
I never thought Boba Fett wasn't a badass, because I thought him going and taking out Bib Fortuna and taking over that that was pretty badass.
I mean, he pulled a Scarface.
Right.
He went in and took over a territory.
But more of like an action-packed, dirty.
I feel like people want to see him be the bounty hunter. Like, that's what it is. That's what it is. That's what he's implying, is that he wants. But I don't know. Like, I like the projection, the progress there, or whatever you want to call it. That
character development.
Yeah, character development that Boba Fett made. I know a lot of people were kind of iffy on the show, but whatever. I enjoyed it. I was fine with what they gave me. But but you know what? Like, if somehow you can fit in, like, maybe a Boba Fett special, or a Boba, like, a mini series or something where he's doing bounty hunter stuff. Like, again, I'm not one of those people where I'm like, no, don't do that. Like, show me what you got. If you can pull it off, and then I'm fine with it.
Well, I think if they're gonna do it, they need to go like Empire, and it doesn't need to be Tamora Morrison and never take the helmet off type.
Right.
I mean, that's why the Marvel Star Wars comic book Bounty Hunters is so popular. Like, they can't keep those things on shelves because that's what they're exploring. They're looking at all these different bounty hunters that have been introduced in the Star Wars universe, and they're elaborating on their exploits and their relationships. Like, Jabba is still in power.
Right.
And right now, there's a colossal war going on between all the bounty hunters.
See, I'd love to get into that stuff, but I know you need to like buy 15 comic books a month to read it.
Yeah, wait for the trade
I
paperback.
wait for the trades.
Yeah.
They folded Kira back into the story.
That's even awesomer. Oh, awesome. Yeah, because I want to know I want to see the Black Sun. I want to see all that stuff. Because they allude. I think the EU was pretty cool about all that stuff, but it's not canon anymore.
Speaking of Tamora, that was an interesting cameo in Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Just kind of sitting on the side of the road. It didn't have any other relevance to the story itself. It was just a moment of, this is what the galaxy looks like. The clones are just, they're tired old models that have been retired, and they sit on the side of the road and beg for credits.
I do think that was sort of a great catfish, because people, when they were taking set pictures of Obi-Wan, somebody like saw that it was Tamora Morrison's hand, and they're like, it's Tamora Morrison, and he's gonna be in it, and it's gonna be awesome. And
He's gonna be Rex.
Yeah, and he was an old clone trooper.
Yeah.
Begging for money.
Which just goes to show that the VA sucks throughout the galaxy.
Oh, yeah. Well, and especially one good thing that, was always kind of consistent was showing like that transition from the Republic to the Empire, because in that same kind of scene, they immediately show the stormtroopers passing by.
Right.
Yep.
So you're seeing that progression. And then like the handmade Empire flag on the back of the
truck. Yeah, like the bumper sticker.
Sorry, we almost saw somebody get in a wreck in front of us, and all of a sudden traffic's gotten really bad, or slowing down. So
Adrenaline's pumping.
somebody tried getting over on front of somebody or something, right, Jay? That's what I thought I saw.
That's
what
someone was coming in on the lane without checking or something.
Whew.
Yeah, everyone, we were kind of talking about eras of which to tell Star Wars stories. I know that, like, Jason, you're pretty excited to see stuff that's outside of, the immediate Skywalker.
I like Star Wars.
Trilogy of trilogies, right?
I'm all good with whatever they give me, but let's be open and courageous and tell something else.
No, I'm 100% with you. Like, I'm 100% open to seeing like brand new. Like, show me something I haven't seen in Star Wars. Like, I'm right there with you.
The Acolyte sounds very intriguing. Taking place 100 years before the Phantom Menace, but maybe having some ties to the dark side. If there's something new, I'd kind of want to see a young Palpatine.
Right.
Sure.
I really enjoy this, and then maybe this is why like Obi-Wan kind of hit with me, is I really like the inter-trilogy stories, right? Like I like seeing that remnants of the Republic evolving into the Empire, and that kind of like what Richard was talking about, seeing showing that clone trooper who's just on the streets because he has nowhere else to go, where he was once housed and fed by the Republic, and now he's got nowhere to go because the Empire has said, sorry, don't need you.
Yeah.
But seeing like the ships, the evolution of the ships from episode 3 to episode 4, like, so like a lot of those stories, and even though like Rogue One isn't one of my favorites, you still see a lot of that in there too.
Right.
So
looking forward to Andor.
Yeah, that looks good.
I really don't know what to expect from Andor.
When's that coming out?
May 31st, or excuse me, August 31st. Or
wow,
the
we
whole,
don't have long.
No, the whole the trailer with the guy coming out with the bells of the drums. I'm like, what is this? This doesn't really entice me. The trailer was weird.
It was, but I think that's kind of what excites me. I'm like, I have no idea.
Yeah.
I don't either, but it's just some guy lumbering upstairs and hitting some drums. I'm like, what does this have to do with Star Wars?
Well, I think that's going to be our oddball era Star Wars show, too.
It's pronounced era.
Era. Maybe we won't see lightsabers in that. in that. You know, there's never been a Star Wars without a lightsaber in it, right?
Hold on. Oh yeah. Well, I guess so. Yeah.
No, even Solo. The last 2 minutes of Solo.
I know. I'm working through it.
And I think that's sort of why Darth Maul ignited that lightsaber was because there's never been a Star Wars without a lightsaber in it.
They got close with Rogue One. I know that Vader thing was a last-minute addition.
Yeah.
Accident ahead at 10 miles, save 4 minutes via I-285 north.
Okay.
Use the right 2 lanes.
Yeah, I love it. Get off the exit now!
Shit. Feel the need.
The need for speed. Have you seen? You haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen it either. Have you seen it?
What?
Top Gun 2.
No, I still haven't even seen Top Gun.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Oh, that's right. We're gonna turn it
Man,
on.
let me tell you, a lot of people had some really hard opinions on whether or not I've seen a movie. That was funny.
I just never got that mentality. No, I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut. Never mind.
Of picking on people for not seeing movies?
No, it's just like the pride people have for not seeing a movie.
No, I'm not saying that I have pride for my whole joke wasn't that, hey, look at me, I haven't seen Top Gun. My whole joke was, because I've seen a lot of movies. It just so happens that just one I've never seen.
Yeah.
And I'm like, my joke is, should I take this further? Should I see how long I can go
Well, my roommate
without seeing it?
Never saw Titanic, and he was proud of it. I'm like, why would you deprive yourself of a possible enjoyable experience? You don't know you're not going to like it, but you don't know that you are.
Right.
Watch the movie and decide. Stop depriving an experience out of your life.
Did you just tell him his heart needed to go on?
Yeah. I threw him out into the ocean and gave him a door and said, good luck.
Did you tell him,
can
draw
only fit
me
one
like
person
one
on
of
here,
your
by the
French
way.
girls?
No. He was probably still floating out there somewhere.
Atlanta traffic, people. It's awesome.
Hey, man.
It's fantastic.
It could be worse. It
That's the
could be
word I would
LA.
use.
Could be LA.
It's the one thing you can always count on in Atlanta.
Yeah. What was that meme that circulates around social media? It's like Atlanta is an hour away from Atlanta.
Yeah.
I get that joke.
I feel that joke.
I feel that joke every day. Their favorite thing in work is like, oh, you're just going to Atlanta. This is in Atlanta. You're in Atlanta. This is in Atlanta. You're right there. And you're like, no.
Atlanta's so big.
Yeah. That's what she said.
Damn it, Glenn.
Grow up.
That's what she said. No. Anything else?
No.
I don't think I've heard any kind of crazy news lately. There was that rumor. Richard and I were talking about this yesterday. There's a rumor going around that what's his face that plays Cal Kestis in the video
Oh, yeah,
games
he's getting his own show.
is signing on for a series on Disney Plus, which I'm not mad at because that video game was fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
That video game was great. I'm excited for the sequel.
Well, if you remember, the bad guy was the second sister
Yeah.
in that one.
Well, wasn't the Inquisitor in the teaser trailer for the Grand Inquisitor? Wasn't he in the? No, that wasn't him. That was somebody else.
No, but the whole thing took place at the same facility in Obi-Wan.
There was a lot of Obi-Wan, a lot of throwbacks to that show, video game in the last few Star Wars things.
Purge Trooper.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But apparently that was the Phase 2 Purge Trooper. So the one in the first game is Phase 1.
So we were also speculating yesterday where the Jedi Survivor, which is the sequel to Fallen Order, was if Obi-Wan will show up
I hope not.
in Survivor.
Yeah, because I mean that's kind of the implication at the end of Obi-Wan is that he's going somewhere.
Right.
That'd be a nice place to explore Riva.
Huh. Maybe. Because there was rumors that Cal Kestis would maybe not even be the main character in that video game.
Yeah, he shows up late in the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
They said it may be from a perspective from a different character this time.
What if that's where we explore Riva?
Hey,
Yeah.
again,
I mean,
not mad at it.
It would make total sense in the narrative.
Yeah.
We just have to wait one more year.
Yeah. But we'll know as soon as they start doing gameplay.
Have you guys ever done an episode on Star Wars video games?
No, it's something that I want to do. I just got to do the research and
Yeah.
have everything ready. You got your Atari games, your Super NES games, your Super Nintendo games.
Right.
You got 40 years.
Yep.
I just said Super Nintendo twice. I meant Super Star Wars on
Right.
Super Nintendo,
Yeah.
which was impossible. But I'm pretty sure that's where that whole second episode of Mandalorian, when he's climbing up the side of the sand crawler, comes from.
You can see that.
Because that happens in Super Star Wars.
Well, just think about it. You take your number one Star Wars nerd, and then Dave Filoni's the next biggest Star Wars nerd.
Sure.
You know,
He's so yeah.
So-
He knows a lot of Star Wars. Oh crap! There it is. No!
Oh, man down.
Still recording?
Yes.
I think that's what has made a lot of, these new projects from series and movies that have been originated like so many years in the past have found kind of longevity is the fact that you get people who were longtime fans. I mean, Filoni has done phenomenal stuff even since Clone Wars.
I would love to see a Prince Shizor show up somewhere.
Yeah.
More so than Dash Rendar.
Say make Shadows of the Empire canon.
Yeah. Oh,
Maybe I'll
man.
start a new hashtag. Make Shadows canon. Excuse me, sir. I'm gonna tailgate you. Your 80 and a 65 is way too slow.
I'm in a Volvo. Move.
You want me to
It's a
moon that guy?
Subaru. It's a Subaru.
Is it a Subaru?
It's not even a Volvo.
Wow.
I'll moon that guy if you want me to.
Do it. Do it.
Do it.
Make a point.
Man, and he's got the freaking.
It's an Outback.
Ooh, he's got lamps on top of his hood too. Ooh, he's cool.
They would
All
be
right.
an assholes.
All right.
He's tailgating me.
It's true. It's true.
You deserve it.
Are we No, you're right. All right.
I'm not gonna finish this episode being called an asshole. Jesus, is everyone here assholes? Yes, sir.
Hey,
Yes.
keep firing assholes.
You do a Spaceballs episode too.
Yeah. And a Hardware Wars.
I've never seen it.
But yeah.
I don't think I've seen Hardware Wars.
I saw Troops, which is a spoof off of Bad Boys, the TV
I've
show.
never seen that.
You haven't seen that one? That
No.
one's pretty good because it takes place during A New Hope, and it shows you it's like it's cops, not Bad Boys, cops, and it shows you the troops going out to the desert to try to find the droids, but it's filmed just like Cops. And spoiler alert, they kill Baru and Uncle
man.
Owen.
Uh-oh.
Speaking of Baru, did you ever think she would become a badass?
She is a mom.
Right.
Moms are badasses.
I mean, she's packing.
Yeah.
She's the one that told Owen we got to go to war.
Right. She was like, Owen was like, "What are you doing?" And she's like, "Shut up! I'm getting the guns."
Doing what you can't do, man.
Yeah, man up.
That's toxic. Thank you for listening to the Smuggler's Galaxy podcast. Should I just finish it?
Yeah, finish it, Jason. I think we're good.
If you could, please leave a 5-star review of the show anywhere you listen. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Always email us, message us, or email us smugglersgalaxy@gmail.com. Thank you to Alfonso Riviera for the Smuggler's Galaxy logo. Thank you to Levi Waterhouse for the Smuggler's Galaxy music. Hasbro re-release VC66. Hashtag vote with your wallet. Be a positive force in the collecting community. This is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way.
Pass on what you've learned.
Yes, that too.
Don't be an asshole.
Damn it, Jordan! I was gonna say that.